We need to talk about Iron Lung. Video game adaptations in Hollywood can vary from the good to the very, very bad. And I am talking very bad. Recently, a lot of video games have had better success in adapting their media to the small screen instead of going to the cinema. But Iron Lung takes a big leap in trying to break that video game to screen curse. But does it work? Written and directed by Mark Fishback, aka Markiplier, Iron Lung is the feature film adaptation of the 2022 survival first-person horror game of the same name, where players must navigate a sea of blood in exchange for their character's freedom. The film, released globally in January of 2026, follows a similar premise. Fishback plays Simon, a prisoner being used in what he believes is the maiden voyage of the Iron Lung, the one-person submarine pod being used to explore this ocean of blood. While exploring the ocean, he is unable to see out of his pod due to the blood and must take X-ray photos to see his way round instead. While the film progresses, we learn a lot about Simon and his history and how he ended up becoming a prisoner. We also learn more about the initial event known as the Quiet Rapture, which was the cause of humanity's demise in the first place, as well as many mysteries that are set up along the way. Iron Lung is a wildly ambitious directorial debut from Fishback, which I believe pays off for the most part. With a budget of about $3 million, the film makes the risky decision to set the feature entirely within the confines of the sub. To me, this could have really worked. It could have felt really claustrophobic, which would have played really nicely with the psychological elements that come in the film, especially in the third act. The set of the sub could have been a bit smaller to really emphasize this, but I'm aware that definitely would have made filming a lot harder, so this is something that I can very easily overlook. This film is very clearly a labor of love, and that absolutely pours through the screen. Fishback does a pretty good job of acting here, especially seeing as he's holding the entire film on his shoulders. Hiring voice acting icons such as Troy Baker, Elsie Lovelock, Raoul Coley, and many, many more really gives Fishback some great performances to work off of. The dedication to using practical effects is another stunning addition. Practical effects are my favourite things in films, especially in horror films, and where most films in this case would have opted for CGI in parts, especially the last 20 minutes or so, Iron Lung embraces it fully and uses over 300,000 litres of fake blood, breaking the record that was previously held by 2013's Evil Dead remake for the most amount of fake blood used in a horror film. The pacing in this film is odd. The first act is pretty tight, establishing key aspects of the general premise, but also sowing seeds for later storylines. The second act is where the troubles lie. A lot of close-up and eerie shots can really build suspense, which work very nicely in psychological horrors like this. However, shots linger for often just a bit too long and without purpose, which actually drags the film to a crawl instead of building up the tension that it's designed to do. Once Simon decides to actually map out the ocean floor of his own accords, the pace really picks up and kept me hooked for the rest of the movie. The lighting in this film mostly works for me. Some scenes rely entirely on a single source of light from the camera flashes that Simon must constantly keep activating throughout. This fade out of light is often beautiful, but some scenes rely on this technique for far too long. Even when the camera flashes, the audience is still unable to see what is being shown to them, which is difficult when there are moments that are very clearly tied to Simon's backstory. Had these scenes been shortened slightly and the angle of the scene reworked ever so, this would have made the film a lot tighter. Now, the most controversial part of this film is, without a doubt, its story. Many, fairly, criticizing it for being confusing. The intentional lack of context for audiences not familiar with the source material, mixed with the fact that Fishback is more or less the only person we see, with the rest of the cast being seen through blurry window shots or faceless voices on the ship's intercom, can often leave the viewer wondering who Simon is really talking to. An intentional decision, as when a voice is introduced about halfway through the film, both the audience and Simon are wondering whether this voice is real or whether this is just another example of Simon's slow descent into madness. It often doesn't quite work. A lot of the voices in this film, especially the male ones, sound very similar to one another, making it hard to understand if the voice is an old recording or a live transmission. This, mixed with the absolute chaos of the final act, it's no wonder that people are leaving the cinemas scratching their heads. A lot of people are comparing this to 1997's Event Horizon, another sci-fi horror starring Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne, which follows a spaceship mysteriously reappearing after vanishing without a trace 7 years prior. Both films explore the horrors of the human mind and how solitude can truly make a person question every single detail in their life. Event Horizon similarly was met with mixed reviews, with critics saying it gets away from itself, especially when it truly leans into the gore in the second half of the movie. Anyone who knows me knows how much I fucking love Event Horizon. Like, it's genuinely one of my top 3 favourite sci-fi horror films ever made. So it's absolutely no shock that I loved Iron Lung for the same reason that I loved Event Horizon. In summary, Iron Lung is a slow, psychological horror that for many is a swing and a miss. Personally, I relished in the solitude of this film, and for a directorial debut, Fishback does an incredible job. He has set a very high bar for himself, and I would love to see more of this kind of content from him. The film does a lot with what Hollywood sees as a small budget, and with a slightly tighter screenplay for Iron Lung, this could have been something really spectacular. I give Iron Lung 4 stars.